evening, everybody, and welcome back to One Hub. We're here for race number 4 around the Monza circuit, and I am very much looking forward to seeing how these guys in the P2 tier are going to be running around at the Temple of Speed. My name is Jake, of course, taking you guys through this as always. Joined alongside me again, as always, Mr. Jamie at 92 after coming off another P4 in the P3 tier on the fourth race of the season. Jamie, how are you doing this evening?
Yeah, I'm doing very good. Yeah, I'm very excited for this race, and yeah, it should be a good one. Good turnout, and yeah, obviously, can anyone stop Papa Squancho? That is the question. I think that's the main question in everybody's lips tonight.
Yeah, of course, that's going to be the main question about what if anybody can stop Papa Squanch 3 races in a row. He has won, and I think we were given a little bit of stick last week about saying that he could potentially be moved up to the P1 tier. I know he was talking about that earlier on in the pre-race talk shows, so sorry to give him that bit of a scare, but yeah, I think it's just we saw that he's won 3 races in a row, and it's just unbelievably quick. So you know, can't fault a guy for trying, but yeah, Papa Squanch is just unbeatable at the moment. 3 races in a row, top in the standings, sitting on 60 points at this current moment. Yeah, I think he's definitely a tough cookie to beat, and especially around the Temple of Speed, I think he's going to be even tougher cookie to beat. It's not very easy to overtake around here, so I think it's going to be a bit interesting. Solau is sitting in second with 47 points to his name, and Larkin in third with 35 points to his name, so very tight-knit top 3, of course. Morgan in 4th after that very unfortunate last lap incident between himself and Papa Squanch at Zandvoort last week. He's sitting in 4th in standings, only 4 points behind Larkin, sitting with 31 points to his name. Mikey in the Aston Martin keeping it nice, clean and consistent in 5th at the moment with 24 points, tied with Mr. Rich 500 in the Williams in 6th place with 24 points to their name. Matthias in 7th with 17 points, Fade in 8th with 12. Jess in 9th with 11, tied with Rush Benjamin in 10th with 11 points to their name as well. Obviously, Matthias being Mokri as well. So, very quite tight-knit top 10 here, Jamie. I mean, Papa Squanch having those first 3 race wins, like, was that expected for the start of the season? Because I'll be honest, I wasn't expecting something like that.
No, I knew he'd be at the front of the field for sure, because I know how quick he is, and I've been in lobbies with him. I know how quick he is, but I didn't expect him to win the first 3 races. But it's not like he's won by 20 seconds in all the races. He's had people close with him. Like, for example, I say last week, I think Michael was definitely the quicker. Morgan, sorry, was the quicker driver last week, but he just made a mistake at the end. I think Papa's racecraft and he winning the race last week. But yeah, obviously Salo had a grid penalty, but he was quick once he got through the field. And yeah, it's very interesting. And obviously, you know what Larkin's like on his day, but yeah, it's just pure consistency, which is let him on top. And a 13-point lead after the 3 rounds is pretty nice indeed. And a 35-point lead and a 25-point lead to third. That's great news. But there's still 9 races to go, and there's still plenty of twists and turns. As Williams have got a nice big lead in the constructors as well, so Williams are looking good to get a constructors title with Rich having 2 4th places in a row.
Yeah, they certainly do, and obviously it helps the fact that obviously Papa Squanch has won the first 3 races as well. Mercedes and Aston Martin only 1 point separating them in the constructors as well, and the Red Bull just falling short behind, 10 points behind the Mercedes team. So it looks like the Williams are running away with this at the moment. It's only the 4th race of the season, so we're getting into the third of the way of the season after tonight. And as I say, Williams are the one sitting on 84 points to Mercedes 56. But again, it's only a third of the way. So, again, anything can happen within this season. Again, we'll have to wait and see towards the end of the season as to who is going to be the one that comes out on top. I have got in the One Hub chat just saying, are you planning to take on Nick out again tonight? Just asking for a friend. I'm hoping that is Colin that's on that account. And I'm going to be saying, if he gets in my way, then there is a potential. But we'll see when that comes into the P1 race for this evening. Hopefully, I won't have to take Nick out and he takes himself out. That's what I'll be saying.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, Nick's obviously a great racer, but yeah, it could be good. And you always have good battles together. And Larkin, and I mentioned Larkin in chat, he's watching golf at the same time as qualifying, so that's going to be interesting to see. I know Larkin's a massive golf fan, so maybe time to switch your golf off now and focusing on qualifying, mate.
Certainly do, and obviously a bit of the track knowledge as well, just so you guys are aware. We are here for Monza this evening. Of course, 11 corners, one of the shortest amount of corners on Canada. It can be the fastest race, as we have seen earlier this afternoon. We've seen Max Verstappen has now set the fastest race time ever, I believe, just overtaking that from Michael Schumacher, and of course setting the fastest qualifying lap ever. In terms of average kilometers per hour around the circuit as well. So, very, very, very fast circuit. That's why it's called the Temple of Speed, of course. There are 2 DRS zones, one going down towards turn 1, the elusive turn 1 that is very, very tight knit, and of course the second DRS zone after the 2 Lesmos at the top of that circuit as well. Used to be the one on the straight just before the Parabolica, but they've taken that one out. So there is literally just 2 DRS zones now. Of course, from last season in the P2 tier, it was Paul Ewald 1968 who took the winner for P2 tier. So we will hopefully we will be seeing a new winner for this evening in terms of the P2 tier. And speaking of a new winner, there are some different changes within the P2 tier. So in case you guys weren't made aware, if you didn't watch P3 tier, both of the McLarens, both Gazzelman and Quinn, have dropped down from the P2 tier down to the P3 tier. So it meant that we had a team 3, and we had to then get a few drivers to come in and take over for that McLaren team. One of which being a P1 driver who's now dropped down to P2, and the other one, of course, being Mr. Cam K himself. And Catherine is the one that dropped down from the P1 tier. And that pairing, I've got to say, Jamie, a very strong pairing to come into the P2 tier.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, Catherine qualifying on P1 tier and qualifying like great effort, but I think maybe she saw what a great job she did in qualifying. There's no shame moving down. She did a great job getting P1, but I think P2 is more to like. And then Cam, well, one thing to say about Cam, he's very good. And watch out if there's a wet race. Watch out for him because he is what I call one of the rainmeisters of one-hub racing.
Certainly are. So if it's ever rain in a race, I expect a nice little battle of Larking versus Cam K. I know both of them are a bit of a wet race merchant. If they do not mind me saying. Yeah, I say they're both very good in terms of wet weather. Wherever that might end up happening again this season, if it happens again this season. So yeah, I'm intrigued to see how that's going to go down. Speaking of other races in this season, just show you what the tyre wear or car wear is looking like for both engine and gearbox wear. Of course, all the tracks on the right hand side for yourselves as well. Round number 4 of Monza, 27 laps. All of the engine wears are on there. If you do DNF, and this is why Futility Dog has a slightly more worn engine and gearbox. If you retire, it doubles the amount of laps that you've taken for your engine and gearbox wear. So, may have retired, I think, what's that? That's 8 laps into a race, so you end up getting doubled the engine and gearbox wear of that. So that's why his is slightly lower, but I'll quickly run through each of the engine and gearbox wears for you guys so you are aware as to what is happening for this evening. And in case you're unaware, if you are taking a gearbox penalty, you get a 5 grid place penalty. And if it's a engine penalty, you get a 10 grid place penalty. So for this evening in the P2 tier, Joe is the only one in the Mercedes that is taking the gearbox penalty. And then the 4 people taking an engine penalty for this evening. First one being Richelieu in the Haas, Vitinho, Welsh Benjamin, and Lawrence. They're the 4 taking the engine penalty. So they'll all be having the same grid place penalty. Joe having a 5 grid place penalty for this evening in the qualifying. And we are already into the qualifying. I am just going to get that up for yourselves now, just so you are seeing what is happening so far, because the first 5 minutes have already commenced. We did have to sort of stop the stream a bit late just due to the P3 tier just sort of running over just that extra bit longer. So Rich is the one that's currently sitting on pole at the moment, an 18.8 for the Williams to begin with. Half of the guys have done lap times. Big 2 that haven't so far are both Solau and Papa Squanch though, Jamie.
Yeah, Papa Squanch just left the pits now, so they're leaving it quite late to do their first run. We're about 4 or 5 minutes into qualifying already, so they're leaving it quite late. And obviously, I think this is a track where it probably isn't that possible to do 4 runs. It's very tight, but I think maybe they're thinking, I'll just wait a little bit later. And obviously we know the weather is light cloud to clear, so maybe they're hoping for a bit more clear at the end of qualifying, maybe to go quicker at the end. Maybe that's what they're waiting for, the conditions to clear up a little bit.
There is that chance. There is a chance that they are going to be waiting for that to happen. I am also expecting a few invalidated laps for this evening to begin with in the qualifying. I think it's very easy to cut certain corners. The Ascari chicane is the one that comes to my mind straight away. It's very easy to cut the beginning of that. I think, I expect a few invalid laps, and even in the race, I expect quite a few penalties to go down purely because of cutting that Ascari chicane.
Yeah, and also the second sector, Roger chicane, that's very easily cut as well. You just have to really tap that chicane. So they're the two main areas for it. And yeah, there was a few penalties. I was quite surprised. P3 had less penalties than I thought they would. But yeah, I think this tier, maybe a bit more close, a bit more competitive racing, a bit closer between the field. I think drivers will push more, and I think we'll see more penalties in this tier for sure.
We certainly will. And let's actually go on board and have a look at a lap of one of our championship leader, Mr. Papa Squanch, of course, starting his first lap around the Temple of Speed through turn number 2 and coming around the Curva Grande now. Not chucking it into overtake, interestingly enough, so not trying to maximise the amount of straight line speed through the Curva Grande. Actually, they're coming up to now the Della Rosa chicane. Very easy to invalidate through there, but takes it nice and conservative, going over that second part of that, making sure you're not taking too much of that, otherwise it absolutely spits you out. Now into the first Lesmo, shifting down into 5th, not probably maximising the amount of track I was expecting Papa Squanch to, and same with the second Lesmo. DRS now wide open for the second time in this lap, getting a nice little toe from Cam out in front of them. Now coming up to the Ascari chicane, I say very easy to invalidate through there. Papa Squanch taking that nice and conservative though, just making sure he is not invalidating on his starting lap. Now using that overtake to try and burn out as much as possible as he makes his way up towards the Parabolica final corner of the Temple of Speed, keeping it in 5th gear, get on the power as early as possible to try and maximise the amount of pace you can out of that corner. Out towards the line comes our championship leader, tucking it straight onto pole position, a 118.578, 3/10 of a second, just under 3/10 of a second, up ahead of his teammate, who ironically is also starting out.
Yeah, maybe he might get a bit of slipstream with his teammate. But what I've noticed in this track, on this game, I don't think the slipstream's that effective. I think the dirty air maybe overrides the slipstream value. So I don't think, you may see some guys attempting the slipstream, but I don't think it's that effective on this game. I think you're better off just driving your own lap as I did at the end of my qualifying. But yeah, let's see what we can do. 3 attempts to gain. Let's see what we can do down the first sector. See what he's going to do. He's about 600ths up, so he's improving so far. How does he take this chicane? So easy to dip wheel on the gravel there, but does it really nicely now into the Lesmo corners. Now these corners are so nice. When you hook them up here, they feel so nice to drive, but so easy. This track's so easy to make a mistake on. So we're a little bit wide down to the gravel, but does that nicely down the second DRS straight, approaching the infamous Ascari chicane. Now how does he approach this? His teammates ahead, but I don't know if it's turbulent air. Yeah, it's a 10th up. The Ascari chicane takes it nicely out the second part. So he's making a mistake here, but yeah, looks pretty nice. His teammate, the guy ahead weaving, needs to get out of the way. He does, and I think he's about to start a lap here. He might get turbulent air through Parabolica here. This is not ideal for him. The Ferrari, I think this turbulent air for Parabolica is going to affect him a little bit here, but he's going to get a nice slipstream out of here. What will lap time be? I think it'll be an improvement, but what will it be? It's a 8 for it, 6. Wow, what a lap there. Only 300ths off his teammate.
Yeah, massive improvement from Rich there. 2.5 tenths up on his time as well. So very good lap time. Both of the Williams looking to dominate this bit early. Meanwhile, Solal did make a time on the board, and Morgan has also just put a time on the board, an 18.8 for the Aston Martin. Solal did a 19.0 for his first lap as well. 3 people still yet to put a lap time on the board, Cam K, Sheckways and Ride Dog, as there was another improvement. That was Catherine, who dropped down from the P1 tier. She has gone up into 3rd position. She's looking to make a statement very early on and show why, well, trying and hopefully show why she was in the P1 tier originally. Going to try and challenge the likes of Morgan, Mokri, and both of the Williams and Solal as well. I've got to say, slight little disappointment for one of the drivers, being the Red Bull drivers of Larkin, sitting down in P11 at the moment. I know he was his day was ruined when he found out that the weather wasn't going to be raining at all around Monza, but into P11, I'm quite surprised he's at, well, now down at the P12 as Welsh Benjamin putting up a time in the P9. I'm very surprised he's down in 12th position here, Jamie.
No, yeah, it is quite surprising, and yeah, I think Larkin, his qualifying form hasn't been what we expect so far. His race pace is still fantastic, but he's. I tell you what, Jess is giving him a massive run for his money in qualifying. Jess, I mean, you're very impressed by Jess's qualifying, but I think Larkin hasn't quite figured out how to nail qualifying yet in this game. I think it's quite difficult because obviously the tyres act differently compared to the old game, so I think nobody's quite figured that out yet, but there's still time. But yeah, you want to improve on that. You won't want to start 14th. That is nowhere. That's no good round here. It's going to make his race an absolute nightmare.
Certainly will. The only good thing for him is that he's got to think about the other people that are also taking their engine penalties and gearbox penalties. Unfortunately for him, 2 of them behind him, but he needs to hope that he can try and get a bit further up in the order. I expect him to, but we'll see if he is able to. I'm just having a look in the chat. Quite a few people supporting Mokwe, of course, including his brother, Axel, in the chat, saying that Mokwe's PB is a 0.4. So I'm expecting a few more of these times to be dropping with 7 minutes left to go of the session. Yeah, I'd say I'm expecting a few of these times to end up just dropping a bit more, and a few times being put on the board.
Yeah, I think for the first run around here, check out this. You just want to get a safe lap in, a lap that's invalid, that's in track limits, and then I think towards the end of the session, you really up the wick as I did. I upped the wick on my last lap, and it worked well. But so first lap, you just want to get a solid lap on the board, and then you can improve on it through the session. As Ryder moves 17th, so the only guy that set a lap is Cam, so you want to do that, and everybody has broken 80 seconds so far, which is good to see. We'll see what Cam do when he crosses the line, as I think Papa may be starting a lap, is he? Yeah, Papa's starting a lap, so keep an eye on that. But we'll see what Cam do in the McLaren. Obviously, this is his return. It's his first race back since season 25. He missed season 26, so good to see Cam back. Obviously, finished 3rd in the P2 tier last time he raced. So let's see what he do. Approach line now. Cam, he's a bit rusty in the game, so he may not be up to speed yet, but what can he do? And that's a solid lap for him there, a 19.7, but he'll be looking to improve that later on, as Papa is a 10th up in Sector 1 according to my timing screen. So Papa, as he's slowed down, he's invalidated there in the second Lesmo, so Papa went a bit deep there and invalidated, so that's his run over there. He has to come back in the pits and go again.
Yeah, he certainly will do. I'm just going to have a look on board with Jess, as she's just actually starting her lap now. She's done a lap already, 1:19.3, so respectable lap to begin with, but I know she's going to want to try and make a bit of an improvement, even try and get herself into the 1:18s. Yeah, very unfortunate, as you say, for Papa Squad's not able to, having that invalidation on his lap. But there are a few other guys that are out on laps at the moment with just over 5 minutes left to go. Solau just coming up towards the Ascari chicane, and he's 6.5 tenths up on his time, so this is going to just jump him straight up into pole position if he's able to nail this final sector. As I say, 6.5 tenths of a second improvement on his time. Yeah, it will jump him way up ahead of Papa Squanch and Rich as well. I'll keep an eye on a few of the other guys. I say Morgan has just started his lap as well. Rich is just starting his lap, but a Solau, an 18.444 to for his second run. He's going to be able to get back into the pits and get himself back to get another lap on the board. Mokwe up towards the line, makes an improvement. It's not enough, however. He does jump up ahead of Morgan, but that's all he's managed to jump up ahead of. And Morgan is improved in the first sector by over 1/10 of a second.
Yeah, Rich could be bad Balkan now. He's a 10th up, so Rich may bump Papa off the front row. He may bump his teammate off the front row. Cross line now, using all the rest of his battery. He manages his battery perfect in his lap, cross the line, and he goes second. So yeah, he does bump his teammate off the front row. Yeah,
gets up ahead of his teammate, does Mr. Rich 500. Of course, Papa Squanch invalidating on his other lap. Morgan down on his time, so 0.08 of a second down on his time, but I think it's going to try and get a bit of a toe from Mikey. Mikey may have miscalculated that. I'm not saying that, he's actually done a very good toe for his teammate going in towards Parabolica. Morgan's just got to nail this final corner though, almost getting a bit squirrely on the exit of Parabolica, but up towards the line comes the Aston Martin. Is it an improvement? It is. It jumps up ahead of Catherine into 4th position at 1:18.708. So again, respectable lap time from Morgan to jump himself up into 4th position. Fade is another driver that is actually significantly up on his time, 2.5 tenths of a second up on his time. Jump up ahead of at least Rich Alou, but Don't know if it'll be enough to challenge the likes of Mopey and Catherine. Just coming around the final corner is Fade as it makes its way up towards the line. It's going to be a 1 minute 18. No, it's not. It's a 1 minute 19.014. So on the cusp of the 1 minute 18th. But into 7th position, both RBs are proving a little bit solid here, Jamie.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, Proverb good up there, 9th place, and Proverb guy's been a little bit off the radar so far. Obviously, it's his first time outside the bottom tier one ever racing, so probably getting used to it. Yeah, if they both have top 10 starts, that'll be quite solid for them. They're looking to get some points and get their seasons underway a little bit, as a Proverb has not really had the ideal start to the season. He actually, letting a bit of intel, he was asked, we could ask if he wanted to move down to P3 tier, but he said he wanted to stay in P2. We love that spirit from him, and I think he's wanting to prove a point tonight.
Yeah, he certainly is wanting to try and prove a bit of a point to see what he can do in the P2 tier as well. This will be the RB's final lap, as there's only 2 minutes left to go of the session. I expect to start seeing a flurry of cars making their way out of the pits as well. I believe Catherine is just come out on her outlap as well as Cam. So both McLarens on an outlap. Weapon Proverb will definitely be the first driver to come across the line and finish their final lap. I think Fade as well. I don't think he's going to have enough time to get in the pits and get himself out. So this is the RB's team's final lap. Let's see what Weapon Proverb is able to do. Didn't manage to see what the time was in that first sector, but in the second sector going through the first Lesmo, don't want to try and go too far out of that. There is a car out in front of him of the Aston Martin, just jumping out of the way. I believe that was Mikey, but manages to get himself out of the way. Let's see what Weapon Proverb is able to do in towards the second sector in his split. He's 300s down on his time, so got to make a bit more of an improvement in this final sector. Got to try and take as much of a risk as possible in that Ascari chicane. Did look like it was quite nice out of the exit of the Ascari chicane up towards the Parabolica, and see what Proverb is able to do. Again, keeping it in 5th gear, early on the power as much as possible, early on the battery as well, to try and maximise his run up towards the line. Goes a bit too much to the right hand side, invalidates on his lap time. It wasn't an improvement, but that's what happens if you go a bit too far to the right. It does make that lap invalid, and that best he's going to put himself into is in P9.
Yeah, and I think he probably bumped down because look at that. There's only a 10th to 14th, so I think he might get bumped down. But yeah, solid effort there from Proverb though, and getting 2 laps in the 9.3s is pretty good, and it's an improvement on what we've seen so far this season. As I think Catherine is going to be the next person to finish a lap. She'll be the first one to take the checker flag, I believe, on a flying lap. So she's coming down the final DRS straight now. See what a second set time is. It going to be improvement or not? We'll find out pretty shortly. She's a 10th up, so she could bump Heather Morgan here, just matching her best third sector from our last lap, and it looked quite good through the Ascari chicane. It's only the Parabolica or the Parabolica corner left now, and this is such a difficult corner because when it's such low wings, this is probably the worst corner on the track so far because it's so difficult. But she took it quite nice there on the battery. These guys are managing the battery beautifully. Cross line now, what will it be for her? She does improve, but not positioned. She's just getting the 8.4s though. Good effort there, Catherine. A very strong qualifying session.
That was a strong one for her back in the P2 tier. Mikey, I was just about to say, was coming up towards the line, but is not making any improvement. He's going into the pits. Cam, however, is making a bit of an improvement. Up towards the line comes the American, and it's a 1:19.692. It is an improvement, but it's not enough to jump up any positions. So Cam, on his return to one hub, unfortunately starting towards the back end of the field. Ralph Benjamin up towards the line, goes into 9th position, and as I say, a whole flurry of cars are going to make their way across the line. Mopey being one of them. Up towards the line he comes at 1:18.796. Saw in the chat someone said that he would get him a Big Mac if he was on pole, and unfortunately he is not on pole, so no Big Mac for Mopey.
Larkin up to 10th there, 19.1. No shame for him there. No, probably loves a cheeky Big Mac, but no shame for him there. Larkin up to 10th, I believe. Joe's up to 12th, and Vittina's up to 14th. Jess stays in 15th, and Ivor Spin Mike up to 17th, and that's our session over. Everybody's done, and Salo gets on pole position, and Papa Squanch headlines. He's not in the front row. He did that good first lap at the start, and he never really built on it. He peaked at the wrong time.
Certainly have, and the whole field separated by 1.4 seconds. Rydog not managing to get another lap on the board, a 19.8, which he did in his first run, was the best that he could possibly get done there. Both Williams, though, sitting in second and third position, going to look to try and put that pressure on Solau and Rich out qualifying Papa Squanch. Very, very interesting. I know Rich is pretty decent in a race as well, so I expect Rich to be definitely challenging his teammate as well as the Mercedes for that race win for this evening. Of course, start of the season for him wasn't his best, but we'll see if he's able to make that improvement and maybe even jump up on the podium or potential race win for this evening. But Solau, very good qualifying from him, an 18-point triple for the pole position in P2. Rich 500 in second with Papa Squanch in third, Morgan in fourth, Catherine in fifth, Moquin in sixth, Fade in seventh. Rich, I think that's his best qualifying in eighth position in the Haas. Ross Benjamin in ninth with Larkin rounding out top 10. Lawrence in 11th with Joe in 12th, Proverb in 13th. Vitinha 14th, Jess down in 15th, bit of disappointing qualifying for Welshman in 16th and 17th with Waze and Mike. I think it was Joe in 18th, Cam in 19th, and then Rydog at the very back end of the grid. And I've got to say, probably a few guys are going to be quite disappointed in that qualifying session. I've got to say, I'm probably expecting to be a little bit higher in terms of their qualifying session. But I mean, who was the biggest surprise in terms of that for you there, Jamie? Like biggest surprise, like good surprise, bad surprise?
Good surprise, I think. Catherine, good to see her up there competitive, and it shows you have much better racing. I mean, the biggest disappointment has to be Mikey in 18th. That is, I did not expect that. Mikey's obviously been a good foil to his teammate Morgan, but no good down in 18th. So Mikey will be disappointed with his qualifying. So they're my two good and bad surprises of the qualifying session.
Yeah, I've got to say Mikey is probably mine for the disappointing one. I was quite surprised that he's down in 18th position. I did say it was Joe, but I meant Mikey. Sorry, my apologies. Yeah, Mikey down in 18th. Very sort of disappointing for him. Again, I think, Solau getting himself on a pole position. Rich, I've got to say, still in second. Has a very good opportunity to help his team out or even help himself out in this championship at the very start of the race. And obviously, turn one at Monza is extremely tight. It's not very easy to try and get two cars through there.
Yeah, I got punted off at turn one at the start of the race, and it sort of made me straight line turn one. So yeah, I know what you mean. It's so difficult. It's not really. People try and go three or four wide there. It's not really designed for that. So yeah, just a matter of survival to what Monza. I mean, a full grid of cars closely matching pace. Watch out, there could be a few fireworks for sure.
Certainly could be. So whilst we're just waiting for the lobby to get restarted, I'll quickly just run through the sponsors. So you guys are, let's say, it's a big shout out to all of the guys. You can see them at the bottom of your screen, but I'll run through each and every single one of them. Of course, starting with good old Next Level Racing. They are providing the prizes towards the end of the season. So again, massive shout out to those guys for providing the prizes over towards ourselves. Next one, of course, being Sim Racing Setups, our brand new sponsor for this season. Again, big shout out to them. They provide a pro setup bundle for F125 created by top esports drivers from leagues such as PSGL and WOR, offering all different kinds of setups for whatever you want or whatever you're going to need. I say they sponsor league by providing vouchers for weekly driver of the day winners and the driver of the season. You can use code OneHubRacing to get 5% off of each of their setups. Next sponsor for this evening is Pure Sim Gear. Sponsors the league by providing sim racing socks gloves to the driver with the most fastest laps / pole positions over the course of the season. And if you want to get some of those, you can use code OHR10P to get 10% off of their sim racing socks and gloves. Second to last sponsor being Vespertine. Of course, our very own Solau is the main head of this company. Partner of Vespertine who support our official apparel and also provides some great merch prizes. And of course, it's also how you enter the league, paying over the £5 over towards them to get yourself into the league when you do become a full-time driver. And then, of course, our final sponsor being the Sim Grid. Without the Sim Grid, we'll be using a load of Google Documents, Google spreadsheets, and I'll be honest with you, from owning the league myself beforehand, it is a bit of a pain in the bum. So it's very nice to have SimGrid just to help collate everything into one and being able to have a look at each of the standings, the races that are going to be ongoing. If you need to sign out, if you're a driver, it's so much easier being able to use SimGrid in relation to that. So obviously, big shout out to all of our sponsors for the season. And quickly as well, go through one of the pre-race interviews. Obviously, there's a lot of love for Moki in the chat at the moment, and we are going through his pre-race interview with one of the questions that says, "We arrive at the Speedfest that is Monza, a track where there are plenty of opportunities to overtake. What do you feel you can do to give yourself the edge in terms of strategy here?" Nice, simple response. Just be faster than everybody else. I think that's all you really need for the temple speed, don't you think, Jamie?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's sure you need. It's really crucial Monza to have that, and yeah, it's just if you not have that, you're basically nowhere around there. Especially in a grid like this where it's so tight. It's just incredible.
Yeah. So as you say, just be faster than everybody else. Put that in a quote, and put that in a very inspirational video. I think that's all you really need is just to be faster than everybody else in order to win. So. We'll see if Moki's able to do that. Of course, starting in 6th position for this evening. I do expect him to make up a couple of positions, just whether he'll be able to do them in terms of strategy, or if he's going to be faster than everybody else. I guess we shall await and see. Someone in the chat just said Moki is the GOAT, the mission, the man, the myth, the legend, the god, the master, the teacher, the professor, the best. So, a few fans of...
a few Moki stands in the chat. It was good to see. Very popular guy, and probably more popular than his brother, I think. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe, I don't know.
Maybe someone prefers a certain other brother, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. It's good to see him racing, obviously, maybe in future might see him in the same team and teammates if Moki keeps developing up. If our brothers as teammates, like that's ever happened in one before, so that could be a thing to watch out for in the future. But we're just currently just waiting for Jess to set up the grid. Obviously, setting the grid up is going to be a nightmare with all these engine penalties, as I know from experience in P3. So we'll give her a bit of time, and once we have that sorted, then we'll be going pretty soon.
Certainly will, and I think there's going to be a few surprises in this. Again, I think it's going to come down to very similar to Canada. I think it's going to come down to there being a few penalties that are going to happen just from a few of the corner cuts, going wide, maybe on a couple of the Lesmos. The Scurry chicane is definitely going to play into the hands of a few of the drivers of them getting the penalties. So hopefully they're able to avoid it, but it's easier said than done to avoid a penalty around here. Again, I expect to see that not only obviously a few penalties that happen in P3. I do expect to see that in P2, and I expect to see that in P1 a bit later on this evening. If you do want to check that out, that starts at 7:30, where I hope you will see me get on a podium, but you never know, I suppose. Again, whilst we're also just waiting, we'll quickly run through a rivalry that has come into fruition for this week. Said that they were tied on points in 9th and 10th in the standings, and that is between both Jess and Welsh Benjamin. Jess out-qualifying Welsh Benjamin 2-1 so far, but Welsh Benjamin having the edge on that in the race of 2-1. No wins, no podiums, no DNFs for the both of them. Both relatively consistent drivers, I've got to say. On their day, I would have thought that they'd be able to try and challenge for a top 5. I know Jess is probably looking a bit forward to the latter stages of the season. I don't know whether the same can be said for Welsh Benjamin, though.
No, I don't think so. No, I know Jess definitely brought a Qatar track where she's sort of a specialist around there. I remember she won the sprint race in a P2 tier last season. Obviously, sprint race is no longer a thing, but yeah, I think Jess was looking forward to Qatar, and a few other tracks she's quite good at. And yeah, Jess is quite impressed this season how competitive she's been at. She's been solidly in midfield, and it's good to see. And also, Welsh Benjamin, new to the league, they're regulars in the midfield fighting for them points positions. It's good to see them being so closely matched. And I think today we might see another close battle between them two.
Yep, certainly could do, and certainly see a good battle between the pair of them. I think if Jess didn't have that issue at Netherlands last week, I'm sure we would have seen a good battle between her, Mikey, and Welsh Benjamin as well. I think there's definitely going to be a few battles throughout the field. We may as well go through the prediction side of things now, though, as well, Jamie. Who do you think is going to do well, win, and who do you think is probably going to have a bit of a stinker of a race?
Well, I'm going to predict. I think Rich will win this race. So I was on a practice lobby with him on I think it was Friday night, and he looked really, really quick. And I think he's got his strategy sorted. I'm not going to give anything away because it'd be unfair to blurt his strategy out on the stream. But yeah, I think Rich could be good for the race win. And I think Williams might get a 1-2. I think Williams maybe get a cheeky 1-2.
Okay, so Williams 1-2. Who do you think is going to not stink up the race, but who do you think is going to be or do a bit of like underwhelming in terms of what they normally are like in the race?
Oh, that's difficult. I think just because the pole sitter last week had a bad race. I don't hate predicting bad races, but I think Solo might have a bit of a bad race because last week the pole sitter last week had a bad race. So I'm sorry, Solo, but I hope you prove me wrong. I hope this is the opposite of the curse. So good luck. Hope you prove me wrong.
Yeah, we'll see if he does prove you wrong in terms of that. In terms of who I'd probably say, I think I can't not root for Papa Squanch at this point. He's won 3 in a row, and I think he's going to make it a 4th in a row. I think that qualifying where he had that invalidated lap, I think it would have put him on pole anyway. So I expect him to try and get past both his teammate and past Solau as well. I think Papa Squanch is probably going to take the win for this evening. I expect Solau to be there. I think top 3 are literally on the podium at the moment, but I mean, Papa Squanch is just going to jump up ahead of the pair of them. And personally, I think it's probably going to have a bit of more of a stinky race. Not stinky, that sounds harsh. A bit of an underwhelming race. I'll be honest with you, he's down in 18th, and I don't see him progressing that much further. I think Mikey, sadly for him, he's been very consistent this season, and so he's sitting 5th in the standings. I think this just might be a race already for him to forget. I don't see him making up too many positions, other than if there's going to be a few people that are, have some absolute heroics into turn 1. But I'll be honest with you, I don't see Mikey, making up that many positions.
No, I think you're back of the game on there. You're better off just playing it a bit safe at the start and just picking up the pieces, because I think there'll definitely be a collision at turn 1. And yeah, there's just certain tracks where drivers don't suit. Like, for example, me, I know I absolutely stink at Baku, so I'm dreading that race. But yeah, and I know there's certain tracks that I love, so maybe it's this track that Mikey doesn't like. And in a close field like this, if you're a couple of attempts off what you're capable of on most tracks, you'll be at the back of the field. So I think Mikey's just going to take this damage invitation, try and get some points if possible, which obviously down to the top 12 and the fastest lap outside top 10. He could sneak a couple of points, but yeah, from the back of the grid around it, it's not going to be easy because overtaking in a DRS train, which this track probably will involve, will not be easy. And obviously now the strategy is interesting this race because I think there's 2 main strategies. I think we could see double medium or double hard. I think they're the 2 main strategies. A soft tyre around here isn't really a viable race tyre. Unlike in real life, this track kills tyres.
Yeah, certainly do. So we're just waiting for these guys to ready up so that we can then go ahead and get this one underway. Very quick reminder in terms of engine and gearbox penalties, just so you're made aware. Richelieu, Vitinho, Welsh Benjamin and Lawrence all with a 10 grid place penalty for their engine wears, and Joe with a 5 grid place penalty for his gearbox wear. So even though Mikey was qualified in 18th, I expect him to be starting somewhere around 15th position or 14th position, somewhere around there. I think it's just, we'll see if he's able to make up any more positions from that. Obviously, from the grid penalties, it's going to be a bit more of a tough one. But we'll see if he can maybe make up a couple of these positions on any of these drivers. See if Solau's going to be able to hold onto the lead up ahead of the 2 Williams. Maybe Morgan can make his way through the field and hopefully try and get himself his first win of this season, and see if, I don't know, maybe someone else outside of that top 5 can get themselves onto the front of the grid. Let's say grid is set, and we're just waiting for all of these guys to ready up. Let us know in the chat who you think is going to take the win. I'm expecting a few of them to say Mokui for this evening.
Definitely. I think it's the chat's favourite for sure. Yeah, definitely. So yeah, the Moki fans are more than welcome. Great to see him. And obviously now, we're waiting for the race to start. Obviously, we don't get much warning. It sort of pops up, so it might pop up any time. So we've got to be ready. Obviously, the drivers do get time to load their setups and their fuel and their starting tyres. Obviously, that's fair. So, ball heeding this 2-minute warning, which tends to be for the start. So we'll get underway very shortly. I'm very excited for this. So I think I'm a bit dreading turn one because I can see a few pieces of bodywork flying for sure into there. But I think once you get through there, it should be a good race.
Well,
And we're
let's
going
wait and
underway
see.
now. Yep, 4 lights, 5 lights, a bit of a pause. And we are underway, and it's a good start for Solo. He did it really well there. Look at Morgan up to 3rd place, passing Papa Squanch already. Approached turn 1. Solo on the outside, Rich on the inside. I think Solo's going to keep it. Locks his brakes up there, keeps it. We've got Papa Squanch and Morgan fight for 3rd place. Now Morgan with bravery on the outside, and he keeps it there. Want to move there by Morgan. Got yellow flags at the back. I don't think there's too many spinners at the back, but quite a clean turn 1 there. And what a great start by Morgan. Papa Squanch lost out a bit there, but Solo really nailed the launch there, and he was comfortable in turn 1, wasn't really threatened at all.
Certainly are. Side by side in the background, it was Catherine and Waze. And Waze tried diving up the inside into the Della Roger chicane. Catherine tried to leave him the space on the inside, and unfortunately, Waze has just gone around. So very unfortunate for that. Catherine in her first race back down in the P2 tier, already 1.5 seconds behind Fade and Larkin. I think she had a bit of a bad start in terms of what she's capable with as well. But yeah, I'm very intrigued to see how the rest of the guys are going to be getting on. Joe already up into 10th position with that 5 grid place penalty. He's having a very good start to this race so far. The position changes already. Yeah, 4 places he's already gone up. And same with Rydog, gone up 5 positions from where he had started.
And Fade side by side and Parabolic. Larkin inside the hard tyres, interestingly enough. And yeah, that's going to cost him there. But Larkin's going to play a long game here. Solo leads a lot there. But yeah, we've got everybody starting in mediums apart from Larkin, Ivory, Mike, Welsh, Benjamin and Cam. And Cam's in the pits on the hard soft tyres. I think Cam lost his wing at the start there. It's going to pit, but luckily for him, he's on the soft tyre, so he can convert to sort of a traditional 1-stop here for sure. But yeah, there's a great setup by Solo. It's got another spinner here. Got Mikey and Richelieu coming together, I believe there. Mikey's dropped down 15th, so not a great call around for him, and not a great lap 1 either. He's lost a lot of time. Got Vitinho side by side. They almost came to blows there, but they're getting a bit feisty in the back here. We've got 3 or 4 wide into the Roger chicane, and Lawrence is just behind Vitinho, and he has to keep it there. But yeah, getting a bit feisty at the back.
Yeah, very,
Mikey's
very
on the
close.
grass. He's having a disastrous first 2 laps there. Mikey's down in 19th place, and yeah, not great for him as Proverb gets a penalty already.
Yeah, very close between all of these guys, and a few bits of argy-bargy going on as all Shekway's almost going into the barrier at the second. There's my Welsh Benjamin looking for a move on the Ferrari going up in towards the Iscari chicane. I don't think the Welshman's going to be able to go for anything at the moment, but already we're starting to see some gaps form in. Joe is pretty much in no man's land, 1.8 seconds ahead of Jess, 1.8 seconds behind Whip and Proverb, the whole of the top 9 within that DRS train. And as you say, Whip and Proverb already in the second lap picking himself up a 3-second time penalty. So as I said, it's very easy to pick up penalties around here. I wasn't expecting the second lap to be a time penalty, but hey ho, we're already there with that. Any moves going down in towards turn number 1. I think we might see Lawrence try and go for something on Vitinho outside of the point of Vitinho, but maybe him eyeing up a move on Richelieu, but not going to be able to go for anything at the moment. Just want to quickly touch on the fact that Cam has already made a first pit stop. I don't think he had a wing change. I think it was a planned stop. I don't think he wanted to run within any of like the DRS trains where he feels like he's going to be held up. Get himself on a set of the hard tyres to go for what would normally be a quite easy 1-stop around Monza, and I think that's what he's opting to do. So I'm intrigued.
Yeah, I've just got my waist chapter. No, he hasn't had the wing jam machine. Maybe that's true. Maybe he's going. I think maybe he's going double hard here, and obviously he'll have a set of mediums in case the safety comes out. So that could be a mass stroke for Cam, but he's going to lose time. No DRS, but in clean air, he's gonna gain it in the corner. So that's the one to keep an eye out for. But yeah, Cam thinking out of the box there, which is good to see. We like to see drivers thinking out of the box. It makes these races a bit more intriguing as Salo and as Morgan's up to second place. He's threatening Salo for lead. So Morgan's had a great few laps, and Salo is gonna be defenseless here as Morgan easily gets the move done. And he's in the lead. He's using a bit of his battery up there, but he's in the lead now. Now Salo will have a bit of turbulence here, but he'll get the DRS down the second straight. But yeah, but Morgan, he's proven a point after last week, and yeah, what a great start for him, up 2 places.
Certainly are, and a bit further back, Ivory Mike going up the inside of Rydog in towards turn number 1. Jess having a little bit of a squirrely moment out of turn 2 as well, so she's going to be under pressure from the Welshman behind him. Mike, that started on a set of the hard tyres, is already looking to put a bit of a challenge on the guys that are on a set of the medium tyres, just trying to go a little bit defensive on the Welshman out in front of her, but not going to be able to do anything. Mike, you're going to have to sit behind Jess for the time being, so she holds on into P11 so far. We might get a battle of the women here in a minute, actually, Jamie. A nice Jess versus Catherine battle. I think I'll be quite intrigued to see who comes out on top of that.
Yeah, Solo retakes the lead down the second race. Yeah, obviously they were teammates last season in the P2 tier in the Red Bull, and now they're sort of back together. Obviously not teammates anymore, but yeah, it'd be great to see. They got on quite well last season, and it'd be good to see them fighting. Obviously they're both really good drivers. They're both really clean racers, and yeah, it'd be nice to see a battle between them two. As we've got Salu and Morgan, and they're just side by side through Parabolic, and this is quite incredible. Who's got the DRS though? That's the question we've got to ask, and I believe it is Salu. So Salu should retake lead here. Now Rich is just playing a waiting game behind these two, just keep fighting each other, and it's good to see. But I don't think it's the best. Is Rich going to go on the inside? Is he? It's going to be a late move, and he gets the move done. Yes, he does. He's going to give the Aston Martin just enough room there, and he's through into second place. So Morgan has lost 2 places there, and that shows you how much you can lose out DRS. We've got a McLaren off at the turn 1. I believe that is Catherine. Yeah, Catherine missed the braking zone for turn 1, and she's off. And she's got a bit of end plate damage. So yeah, that's going to affect her a little bit.
Yeah, not a good start for Catherine back into the P2 tier. I think, as you say, she must have had a moment or hit the back of someone. I think she was right behind Larkin, so I think hopefully he hasn't got himself rear wing damage, but yeah, I think she was just behind him going down towards turn 1, so she must have hit him, gone a bit too, gone straight on. Unfortunately for her, she's now going to have to probably come in the pits and get that wing changed, but it's not too bad because, again, it's a 2-stop race, so it shouldn't cost her too much time. Yeah. A bit further back though, looks like Jess might be a bit under pressure from Ride Dog going in towards Ascari. I think Ride Dog's just going to think better of it and just sit behind for the time being, as Larkin and Fade now both side by side once again. Larkin actually just going straight past Fade, not putting that pressure on. Quite surprising, but I think Larkin just using that extra bit of battery he's got in comparison to the Dane behind him, and getting that move done. Again, are we going to see any moves going down in towards turn number 1 though?
That'd be interesting to see. As Morgan's very close. I believe Catherine's in the pits to replace that wing. It's not too bad because it's sort of in the pit window for the medium tyre. Sort of out the pit window now, so could have been worse for her. And there's not really many moves in the turn 1. I don't think. Ride Dog may fancy moving Jess. I don't think Jess got DRS anymore, so Ride Dog may fancy a send up the inside. No, he's just a bit too far back. So yeah, that could be one to keep an eye out for later. But yeah, there's a bit of a gap between either Brit Mike and Proverb of 5-6 seconds. We've seen this a lot this season, where the first like 6 cars, and there's a bit of gap between that first 6 cars and the rest. So these front 8 are just dragging each other along nicely, and Morgan gets a penalty. Now that could be critical for his race, because that could cost him at the end, because at the moment he'll drop down to 7th place if the race finished now. Obviously it's a long way to be finished, but yeah, keep the penalties to minimum. It's going to be absolutely critical, as I think Salu's trying to break DRS and Rich, but he just can't quite do it.
Yeah, he certainly is, and I'm already starting to see it looks like the hard tyres are the better tyre in comparison to the mediums from the looks of things. I'm surprised that the mediums are wearing off that much quicker, to be honest with you. So yeah, it looks like Larkin's already broke the 1 second barrier from the RB behind him, so yeah, the hards are looking like a much better race tyre in comparison to the mediums, and as I say, that Larkin's actually going for a move on Mopi into 5th position. They're both still side by side with one another. Moki's going to try and defend it as much as possible, but he hasn't got a battery to do so. Larkin, if he wanted to, could just absolutely burn what he's got, and Moki's going to try and dive down the inside and the marking in towards turn number 1. Not going to be able to get anything from that, and now hasn't to concede the position. So Larkin now up into 5th, Moki down into 6th. Morgan, as you say, 3-second time penalty. That is going to cost him in the long run, as whipping Proverb and Rydog into the pits.
Yeah, going back to hard tyres, and yeah, I think as you mentioned there about the hard tyres, but you could tell it through the exit through the parabolic corner. You could tell how much better traction Larkin had. Larkin also had the move done before the pit entry line. That's how much better exit he had there. And yeah, these medium guys, I expect them to be in this lap or next lap. If you go any longer, then you're just wasting the potential on the fresher tyres. But yeah, Larkin's a good position here. He's staying with his pack on the hard tyres, and he's going to go a bit longer, so he will lose positions on undercuts. But around here, the undercut isn't that powerful compared to other tracks, so yeah, it could work out nicely for him. And obviously, Larkin gets a cheeky safety car lap 10, he won't be complaining, will he?
I don't think he's going to be complaining whatsoever because he's now Papa Squanch has dropped out DRS from the top 3. So Larkin, he's now going to have the DRS on our championship leader as all 3 of them are in, as well as Papa Squanch has come in as well. So a double stack of the Williams.
They're not. Yeah, they don't communicate at Williams for sure. They're not communicating there. It's going to hurt Papa. He's going to lose for 4 or 5 seconds. This is going to affect his race, and I think this is going to cost him a bucket load of time. I think Rich, he was committed to the pits though. He couldn't back out of it there. If he tried back out of there, he could have caused a massive crash with Larkin. So he had to pit, but that's screwed him all a bit there. Look how far behind Roki he is. So that's cost him a lot of time.
Yeah, it certainly will. So let's have a look and see where all of these guys are going to come out. Salau has actually gone on another set of the medium tyres, so he is he's definitely going to be going for a set of the hards towards the end of the race. Yeah, Salau's going to try and see if he can get away from the rest of the guys that are on the hards at this current moment. Everybody else that went on that pit, they've all come out on a set of the hard tyres. Looking Proverb, very interestingly, I think we briefly mentioned it. He's jumped up ahead of Mokri and Papa Squanch. Because Papa Squanch had to double stack it, but he's jumped up ahead of the pair of them.
Yeah, no, it's at the end of that, before he pitted, he was right in the back of that leader's train. So yeah, Burren Purber's got some fantastic pace here today, and he could be a threat to these front runners. And yeah, he's a long way ahead of Papa. Papa lost a lot of time there, and he's fighting Joe for 13th position. Obviously, we'll move up onto the front runners pit, but yeah, I think Papa's down to a net 8th or 9th at the moment. He lost a lot of time. That really just screwed over that double stack, and yeah, as I said, they're clearly not in the party, the 2 Williams drivers for sure.
Yeah, certainly not. So, Fade makes his way into the pits. Are we going to see Jess and Rich make their way into the pits as well? Jess does come in, Rich comes in, Lawrence comes in. So, everybody that started on a set of the medium size are into the pits. Of course, the other 3 people that have not put a pit stop on the board yet are ones that started on a set of the hards, Larkin, Mike, and Welsh Benjamin. As there's a yellow flag, and I believe we have got a virtual safety car. So, I'm not sure what that was for. Oh, Rydell's got no wing.
No. Oh yeah, lost a wing there. See, I'm not sure why it need to be a virtual safety car, but there we go. At least on your game, that would cost the full safety car. So yeah, Rydell in the pits. He was having a solid race up to that point, but yeah, I assume he maybe hit the wall coming out with a Ascari maybe. That's the way you can lose wing there if you hit the curve a bit too much. Yeah, but in the pits for him, and he would have done his 2 pit stops, but even if he set hard times, he could feel it to get to the end, but it's going to be difficult for him as no, he's going to go to set of mediums, so he's committed to a 3-stop strategy for sure there. As the VSC is still happening, so we'll see when we get underway. It's a very long VSC. Now we've gone green finally, and Larkin in a nice 10-second lead over either Spin Mike as we're going to get underway.
Certainly will. I think the guys that are on those hards are probably hoping that it would have been a full course safety car, because then they probably could have come in, topped on their tyres, and still remain in probably the positions that they're in at the moment. Well, Larkin certainly would have inherited the lead, but Mike and Benjamin, they would have been significantly higher from where they were originally, as Mokri losing a few positions. Mike speeds into the pit lane, so Mike unfortunately getting himself that 10-second time penalty is just a bit further in front. Mokri, as I say, was dropping down a few positions. Catherine trying to go down the inside of Joe in towards Parabolica. Not going to be able to get any sort of move done. Welshman goes onto a set of the mediums. Where is he going to come out in relation to everybody here? I think he might come out of the back of the second train, sadly for him. But, yeah, Catherine managing to get past Joe. Mokri now seeing if he can try and get past Joe. Is actually coming under pressure from Cam behind. And no other moves going to be made at this current moment. But Rich is still doing a very good job. In fact, actually lost the position to Morgan, very interestingly enough. Morgan is absolutely flying on these hard tyres, and he needs to do so, especially with that 3-second time penalty.
Yeah, he needs to create a gap, needs to break. Rich DRS is very close to it actually. Morgan's absolutely flying at this stage. I think Rich just about stays in the DRS. Yes, he does. That's crucial for him. But yeah, Morgan's absolutely flying. He's only 1.4 behind Salo, the net race leader, so he's doing a great job there. Larkin's doing a good job running a nice tyre offset, so obviously he will lose some places with the other driver undercutting. But yeah, Larkin's going to build himself a good second half race. He's coming to pits now, as mentioned I've been Mikey. He come out just ahead of her P1 commentary partner Jess, so they're going to have a nice fight together as Larkin in the pits. A set of mediums I predict for Larkin here.
Yeah, I'd expect him to go on another set of mediums. No, he's going on another hard compound. So that was the other thing I was just about to say. I do expect there to be 2 sets of hard to use, especially with how much tire there is on this circuit. And where is he coming out in relation to everybody else here? He is going to be just in front of... no, he's actually just behind Fade. So he's, in fact, side by side with Fade going in towards the first turn. The Dane is going to be able to hold on ahead of Larkin. Of course, Larkin, he was behind him at one point. Or sorry, he was in front of him just before everything sort of kicked off and everybody went into the pits. So, yeah, very interesting.
He's going to use his battery here to try and get through Curva Grande. Can he take him inside Roger Chicane? It's very tight, but possible to take round here. He's been very aggressive on cold, hard tyres, and he's through. Great move there by Larkin. And also just behind, Catherine overtook Pepper Squanch for 8th place. So Catherine having a good race there. Obviously with her wing damage, a bit compromised, but she's got great pace. She's doing that as Larkin is up to 5th. And that's worked out really well for Larkin, I have to say. He's right with the pack, and he's on much fresher tyres. So Larkin... That was a great first stint for him, and he's definitely in contention for a race win here.
Certainly is, and Salah as well. He's starting to lose out a bit of time. Morgan, as you say, he's flying. He's now only 0.6 of a second behind the race leader of Salah, and obviously he's on a set of medium tyres. Morgan's on a set of hards, and those hards, they just look so much better in comparison to those mediums. As Fade and Larkin still both going side by side through Parabolica. Larkin having to cede the position, but I believe Larkin is going to have the DRS in comparison to that, and yet straight down the inside he goes. Catherine's going to go for the move as well. Papa Squanch might even follow through. Unfortunately for Fade, getting an overtake done on Larkin early, it's going to cost him not 1, maybe 2, or even maybe 3 positions in comparison. And there's another virtual safety car. I think Rydox again had another spin out of Lesmo too.
Yeah, not a great thing for... Not great for Papa, because I think Papa had that moved on the exit, but we have to back out of it, because obviously the VSC there. So not great news for him. Yeah, Rydog, Howling Disaster, and Haas. Well, I think Haas may be running out front wings here. We may see here. I think Haas, the front allocation's pretty low. If you're Haas driving P1 tier, you might not have to lose the front wing here, because you might be in trouble, as he goes very wide there, and yeah. Not a great race ride. I wouldn't be surprised if he come in the pits and retire. So you've got a Ferrari in the wall. Coutinho's crashed under VSC. He's in the wall now. Will that cause a full safety car? He's done what Kimi Antonelli did and gone off at the Parabolica corner. And will that cause a full safety car? No, we've gone green. So Coutinho crashing out didn't cause a safety car. That's interesting.
Very interesting. But this is now going to set up a move for the race lead. Rydog has come into the pits to retire from the session. So 2 retirees on the same lap side for them. But here we go, still out now, needs to try and get a bit of a defense on Morgan. Of course, both these guys battling it out in Canada, both battling it out in Silverstone, and now battling it out here in Monza. Morgan going to go down the inside of Solau. Nice easy DRS pass up to the lead of the race. Of course, with that 3-second time penalty, it's going to still be hindered for the race lead, but he's managed to claw 3 seconds up ahead of Rich in 3rd position. So Rich is looking at, he needs to try and get a bit of a move on if he wants to try and jump up ahead of Morgan in terms of position. But yeah, these medium tyres, they just look really bad in comparison to these hard tyres.
Yeah, no problem with Vassallo here. It looks so bad. The problem with him as well, he's going to have to pit early. It's going hard, so he's going to be compromised on the final. So I think for sure the double hard strategy, the quicker strategy is, because them mediums have gone off after well, it's only 5 laps on them, and they look battered already. So yeah, it's going to be very difficult solo here. But yeah, saying that, he's still keeping a nice gap to Rich behind, and if he can stay in the DRS and Morgan, he could still be on for a race win here. But yeah, he's compromised himself with the strategy. I don't think the double medium was the right play here. Just them tyres just look absolutely shockingly bad, and it's traction zones where it just looks horrific. As we watch here, we see how much better exit Morgan gets out the Parabolica car. Look at that, he pulls, look at that, so low, almost spinning there, just lost 3 attempts in that corner just on traction.
Yeah, and even then Solau's using a bit of his ERS to try and see if he can catch up to the back of Morgan. I don't think he's going to be able to go for anything, although it does look like he's going to try and eye up that move down the inside. Wow. He certainly does. Dive hit down the inside of the Aston Martin. Good battle in between the pair of them. Morgan's going to maybe try and go for something on the exit of the 2nd corner going through the Curva Grande, but no, Solau gets a bit of traction coming out of there, but I don't think the Aston Martin is done with that. He's going to try and save up a bit of his ERS, maybe go for it on the next lap or even on the next DRS straight after the 2 Lesmos, so we'll wait and see with that. But those mediums, and we said that they were dying, and maybe not as dying as quick as we thought they were here, Jamie.
No, Maybe not, but I'd say Salo looks rapid down the straight. He looks. I think he's running the 0-0 wings, like his straight line speed. I know he had DRS and ERS, but that was different. He was 7/10 back coming out the corner, and he got ahead. That's a huge gain for him there, and he's pulling away. Maybe Salo's got a second life out of these tyres. He's put a nice little gap here, and Morgan is getting dragged along nicely. He's got Papa and Catherine going side by side. Papa real takes Catherine for seventh place, but Catherine's having a sneakily good race, and yeah, as Larkin now is on the back of Proverb, so that might be overtake fourth pretty soon, as Larkin's got 4 laps fresher tyres than Proverb. But yeah, Salo, yeah, he drove his lap pretty well, and Morgan probably will repass him here, as he saved a lot of battery in the middle sector, and yeah, Morgan will easily pass him here, but as long as Salo can stay in touch, then I think he's looking good for the win here if he can stay in touch and pit at the right lap.
Yeah, it certainly can. So Larkin, easy DRS pass on the RB. Of course, assisting of the Red Bull. Larkin now up into 4th position. Mike and Joe going side by side as well into turn 1 on his yellow flags.
Morgan's at the moment there. I didn't see it on stream, but yeah, Morgan's lost a lot of time there. Rich in 2nd place. I wonder if he had a little spin there, or there was a little contact there. I'm not quite sure, but yeah, Morgan, another mistake from the Aston Martin man, and he's down to 3rd place. And with that time penalty, I think that's cost him any chance of the race win now. I think he's got to have to pray other guys get penalties now to have any chance of winning this race.
Yeah, he certainly does. So very unfortunate for Morgan there, and that little spin going through there. Richley picks up a 3-second time penalty, down in 13th position. He had a very good qualifying, but unfortunately hasn't been able to capitalise that much in the race so far. Of course, he did have that 10 grid place penalty for the engine wear, so I say that, I mean, he's actually made up 5 positions from there, so you know what, ignore me. He's had a very good race so far in trying to gain a few of those positions back. Sadly, though, the 3-second time penalty may hinder him from getting any points in this race again. Only time will tell, as we have gone over the halfway point of this race so far. We're on lap 15, going on to lap 16 instead of 27, and Salah into the pits. So he's in for his final stop of the evening, unless there is a late safety car. Catherine also follows into the pits, so she's going on what I would have thought would be a second set of the hard tyres as well. Yeah. Same with Salah. And see if he
Papa going up the inside of Proverb? No, not quite. Papa's going back and Proverb in 4th place, and Papa's little moment there coming out the corner, but luckily for him, didn't lose much time.
Yeah, had a nice little drift out of the 2nd corner there, but yeah, unfortunately not able to get the move done. Larkin has now already gone 2 seconds up ahead of Wappen Proverb, and is now going to try and catch the top 2 of both Morgan and Rich 500, who's 3 laps fresher, hard tyres in comparison. I expect the rest of these guys to be going on a set of medium tyres towards the end of the race. Of course, Larkin has done 2 sets of hard, so I believe he will be going for another set of them, or going for a set of the mediums on his final stop. It's just when the rest of the guys are going to be making that pit stop for those medium compound of tyre. I'm quite surprised that there wasn't more people that went for 2 sets of hards. You know, Catherine being one of the only ones that has, to be honest with you. These hards, they look so much better.
I know, yeah, they definitely are. They can go a good long way in the race. They could go 12, 13 laps. I'm quite proud of what's done it. And just show you how tight this field is. When Catherine came on pits, and she's come out in last place, and she up near the front. So it just shows you how close this field is. And Mikey gets a 3-second time penalty. It also shows you the pit loss on it is huge. So if you get any sort of safety car for these guys at the front, it's going to work out retreat for them. As Morgan is going to go back for lead on Rich. Morgan's recovering from his little moment, and he's going to go up the inside. No, he thinks better of it. Rich, you didn't quite have the gap, I don't think, there. Rich is going to lead another lap. But what all it's going to do is going to allow Larkin to catch. I think Larkin will very soon be on the DRS of these two, as his fresher tyres are now starting to kick in nicely.
Yeah, they certainly are. And Papa Squad's still not able to get past Wappen Proverb at the moment. Moki still sitting behind Fade for the time being. I think the Hungarian's going to try and just maybe buy his time, or even maybe in the pit stops, may try and jump up ahead of the Dane out in front of him. Of course, obviously both of the RBs in 4th and 6th at the moment, before any other pit stop from when they do make their pits. They just got to hope that they're not coming in at the exact same time. Otherwise, they are going to be in some deep trouble. Well, Fade especially is going to be in some very deep trouble. But yeah, very, very close so far, as you say. When Catherine made her way into the pits, it was she was down at the back of the field. Now, see, she's up into 14th position with other people making the pit stops, like Joe, Cam, Jess, and Mike coming into the pits. You know, she's now jumped up ahead of the pair of them, or all of them guys. So, yeah, I expect I expect this undercut to work out quite nicely. Somehow getting the move done on Mikey just before Ascari, Morgan,
Oh,
and Rich into the pits. Larkin stays out. Rich picks up the
Rich,
10-second
10-second
time
penalty.
penalty. So that's his
Oh no.
podium chances gone. Morgan as well, I'd seen, had picked up another 3-second time penalty. So he's got 6 seconds to his name as well. Larkin's just been gifted a free podium here.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, Larkin inherited. And also Papa Squanch as well. Papa Squanch had that mistake of pitting his teammate, but yeah, Papa Squanch is gonna. Yeah, I think Larkin and Papa are looking good for podium places here for sure. It didn't look likely for either earlier on, but yeah, they made good progress so far. And yeah, these and Rich, that's going to be the absolute killer for him because I think Rich is looking good for a race win there, but that has just killed his race completely and just so devastating. Such an easy mistake to make on a track like this. Moki gets a 3-second time penalty, and that's going to cost him a chance of a podium. Yeah, but yeah, just. He'd be absolutely kicking himself. It's just so easy to do though on a track like Monza. It's so difficult to get slow down to the line there, especially you've got a guy right behind you like he did there, maybe under pressure there to nail the entry, and it just went wrong for him.
Yeah, it certainly did. So, yeah, if anything, Salau is basically, well, not been gifted the win, but if he doesn't pick up a penalty, then it could be in trouble. As I think, actually, has he got wing damage? Salau has got himself wing damage. I wonder if he had hit the back of Waze going into a turn 1, but yeah, he has got himself front right end plate damage, so he is going to try and do the rest of this race with that front wing damage, and he's got Rich and Morgan all over the back of him. Larkin is not out of a win for this evening, especially considering he's going on a set of the mediums at the end of this race. Papa Squanch now into the pits, trying to go for a bit of an undercut on the Red Bull out in front and on the RBs as well.
I think everybody who pits now will be going for mediums. If you leave it this late, you go on mediums at the end for sure. And yeah, Papa is. And what will Moki do? Moki would go hard tyres, so that's a bit surprising. Yeah, Papa on the mediums, he's going aggressive. He knows this is a chance to get a podium. But yeah, I think Papa will struggle on the last lap of them tyres. The tyre wear on the mediums of 8 laps. That's going to be a stretch. Obviously, at the end of the race will be easier, less fuel. But yeah, Papa, he's just got to try and somehow get damage limitation for him, but it's pretty good damage limitation so far. As Larkin. When will you pit if you're Larkin? Will you pit this lap or next lap?
You've got to pit this lap. You have to. You have to try and cover up Papa Squanch, 100%. Catherine as well. I've just realised she's jumped up ahead of Papa Squanch by 2 and a bit seconds as well. Catherine could also be well within a shot of a win, despite also getting wing damage early on. Solau though, he's doing a solid job with that wing damage he's got at the moment.
Yeah, he's got Rich on the back of him. But if I was Solo, I wouldn't worry about Rich. I'd just let him go and just hog some DRS off him because 10-second penalty. He's not going to pull 10-second gap in 8 laps. So if I was Solo, I wouldn't fight this too hard. Just let him go. That's what I'd do if I was him. As Larkin, he's in the pit, so he's heeding your advice. And yeah, well, Larkin said out. Sorry, that was the AlphaTauri came in there. So Larkin's gone a lap longer. So I don't think Larkin's too happy about the medium tyres because if he was, he would have pitted this lap.
Certainly would have done. Rich now getting the move done on Solau. Is Morgan going to try and follow through on the Mercedes? No, he is not. Aston Martin just going to sit behind the Mercedes for now. Rich has now inherited the net race lead, but he's got that 10-second penalty to his name, Morgan. With obviously those 6 seconds, Solau is just going to be nice and chilling. Hopefully he can stay within the DRS of that Williams out in front. If he does, he's got a good shot of this win for this evening, even with that wing damage on his front right end plate. But Larkin now 19 and a bit seconds up ahead of Rich. Larkin has to pit at the end of this lap. There's no doubt about it. He needs to in order for him to be able to go for a shot of the win this evening. As Fade, he was about how long was he behind Larkin? Maybe 4 seconds or something. That's now a gap between Fade and Papa Squanch.
No, yeah, definitely. Papa is coming back. Obviously, as you would expect on the medium tires, you expect him to come back a little bit here with these. This is probably the 5th place. Probably having a great race. I think he'd be in 4th place when Larkin does pit, which he does this lap. No surprise there. Setting mediums for the last 10 laps for Larkin. But yeah, probably having a great race as well. The 3-second time penalty is going to affect him. But yeah. We could see a couple of surprise podium sitters tonight. We may not see the usual suspects on the podium, which would be great to see. As Larkin exits pits now, where's going to come in relation to Papa? That is the question. I think Papa will be very close. I think Larkin will be ahead. Yes, he is. He's in 4th place, so that has not worked out too badly for Larkin. Is he going to stay ahead of these guys? Yes, he is. So Larkin, that has worked out a treat. As Catherine has hit the back of Proverb, as I mentioned, them two having a good race. They've sort of come to blows there. And Papa Squanch inherits 2 places there, he'll be thankful for that for sure.
I mean, that's the second time tonight that we've seen Catherine do that, sadly, for her on the return to the P2 tier. It's not been a very good one for her indeed. Yeah, she's even got that front left end plate damage again. So, yeah, I think that's her race over and done with. I don't think she's going to be able to get any points for this evening, sadly, for her on the return. But I'll tell you what, Larkin is definitely on the podium. He's currently sitting in second place, and he's got about 3.5 seconds to try and catch up to Solau out in second position. Of course, Rich picked up that 10-second time penalty. He was looking very good for a win. He's now looking very good for a win. Unfortunately, obviously, with Solau's penalty, with his 10-second penalty for speeding in the pits, that's basically him out of that contention, even for podium. Cam picking himself up the 3-second time penalty as well on his return. So, not been a very good lap for both of the McLarens. And I expect to see a move go down in towards turn 1. So I was actually lost out the DRS to Rich, and Morgan is now gotten a move done on the Mercedes. So now that they're both past a bit of a stricken Mercedes, are they going to be able to get that 6-second gap up ahead of the Mercedes out behind them? I would like to think not, but that wind damage could help. It might hinder them.
Yeah, it has to be a second lap, really. I think Morgan's battle at the moment is with Papa, because they're 5.5 seconds apart. Papa's tyres will go off, so I think Morgan could still snag a podium here. I think it's between Morgan and Papa for a podium, but it's more on stopwatch rather on track, as the gap between Solo and Larkin is coming down. It's down to 3 seconds, so as Solo, I think that wind damage is really affecting him now. Wind damage affects you more when the tyres go off, because you get a 3-second penalty, so Larkin at the moment is the favourite for the race win. I think that wind damage there may play the factor in getting that penalty, because obviously didn't have the turn he wanted, but Larkin at the moment, if the race finishes as is now, Larkin's won this race.
He certainly can. He started down in P8, and he might be on for his first race win in the P2 tier this season. Larkin's only got another 5 more laps to go without getting himself a time penalty, and if he can do that, then that will be win secured for himself. Papa Squanch 2.1 seconds behind Larkin. Solar was looking to maybe make a move on Morgan in towards turn number 2, but not going to be able to do so for the time being. Stop-wise, everybody has done their 2 stops, so that's all done and dusted. And just for anybody that needs it, there are the penalties here. So Solar obviously just picked up that 3-second time penalty. Morgan had that 6 seconds. Rich with the 10-second time penalty. Going to try and eagerly look to get away from both Morgan and Solar as quick as possible. In fact, he's actually gapped Morgan quite quickly. So Rich really trying to pile on as much pace as he can to try and get away from those guys out behind him. Larkin, Papa Squanch for Fade without any penalties. Fade could potentially sneak his way into the top 5. I think he is about 10 seconds behind Rich, sadly for him. 10.8 seconds. The Moki and Paulton Proverb just changed positions there, so Moki up into 7th. Both these guys also having their 3-second time penalty as Cam getting the move done on Joe. Also, sadly, with a 3-second time penalty, Joe is going to jump at least 1 position ahead of Cam, but yeah, sadly for the guys that have those penalties, they are going to be hindered towards the end of the race. But yeah, Larkin keeping it nice and clean so far. He's only got 4 more laps left to go now, and if he does, he will take that win.
Larkin 7/10 faster than Solo that lap, so yeah, he's closing. He doesn't need to do it though. He just needs to stay within the window, not get a penalty, and he should get the win here. I don't think Papa is a threat from behind. I think his tyres will go off a little bit, but yeah, as I think Papa is looking good for a podium here, possibly. I think Papa could be getting P3 at the moment, but yeah, Larkin, all he needs to do is just keep it sensible. Cam's having a solid race in 9th on his return. It's good to see, but Joe will probably bump him, but yeah, good to see Cam in that midfield.
Yeah, it certainly is, and I honestly think, Rich could actually stay up ahead of Morgan. Obviously, Morgan's got 6 seconds worth of penalties, but Rich has the 10 seconds, but he's 3 seconds up ahead of the Aston Martin already. So we could very well see Rich, even with those penalties that the pair of them have, actually get again on the stopwatch, but get up ahead of Morgan for a potential top 5. Again, Fade is still just out of that 10 seconds from Rich. In fact, it's now down to 11 seconds. So Fade is starting to lose time to Rich out in the lead of the race. And I think, Rich is definitely on for a top 5 finish. He needs to try and gap just that extra bit more in towards the likes of Morgan, Larkin, and Papa Squanch as well. As Morgan getting the move done on Solau for second position, of course, on track. Solau will still inherit that podium position. Papa Squanch is still 4.4 seconds behind Solau, so he needs to catch up as much as he can for him to have a shot of getting himself on the podium for this evening. At the moment, Solau is the one that's taking the final podium position. Right?
Yeah, and Morgan had to get the move done. Really, he had to get that move done because he needs to keep the gap relative to Rich. I think Solo was starting up a little bit there, so I bet Morgan try and pull away now and try and leave his suit for dead. But yeah, Larkin, he's got this in the bag. All he needs to do is just do what he's doing. He's got this in the bag. Yeah, but the podium fight's going to be interesting. Obviously, it's a bit of a weird one because it's not on track, but it's on the timesheet. So we'll keep a very close eye on the last lap, see what happens here. But yeah, Papa, if he gets podium out this, it'd be a pretty good save for him, I have to say. For a race where he hasn't really had the pace of these front guys.
No, he really hasn't, to be honest with you. But we haven't seen the pace of what he's normally capable of in the first couple of races, and it's quite surprising to see. But he's managing to hold off at the moment without any penalties, and I think that's the main thing that he's needing to do to get himself that final podium position. As Mike now picks himself up a 3-second time penalty, and we've got a bit of a battle going on, not on track, but for the fastest lap. Mikey has come into the pits to chuck on a fresh set of the softs to go for the fastest lap point. So I'm intrigued to see if he's going to be able to get that off of Catherine at the moment. I think she said it was like a 1:20.2 or something along them lines. So we'll see if Mikey's able to try and jump that. 20.4. So see if he's able to jump that. But yeah, working Proverb getting the move done on Mopi as well for that 7th position. I think that's a definite battle for 7th. Both of them with that 3-second time penalty to their name. So it's just an all-out war between the pair of them.
Yeah, it is for sure. Yeah. That having a good battle. And I've been very impressed by Proverb this race. Obviously, he was asked to move down at P3 and I'm judging by this, I'm glad I didn't move him down because he's quite fast this race. So yeah, good team, stick at it, and he's proven himself here with a solid run in the top 10 as we approach the final lap here. And Rich is obviously going to take this race. He'd be kicking himself. Rich would be absolutely kicking himself because he had this race in the bag and just going that little bit, missing his marks a little bit in the paint, it's cost him what would have been quite a dominant race win. As we're going to start the final lap now, and Larkin, you just got to stick with these guys. And Papa Squanch, his tyres are going off now because the gap's now 4 seconds to Larkin, it's 7 seconds to Rich and Morgan. I think Morgan could get Papa Squanch here. It was Larkin overtaking Salo there to give him the 3rd place on track. But yeah, it's going to be very tight between Morgan and Papa on this final lap.
Certainly is, and actually I don't think it will be. I've just seen Morgan has got himself another 3-second time penalty, so he is now with 9 seconds worth of penalties. Rich is definitely going to be jumping up ahead of him, but Morgan, I don't think is even going to finish in the top 5. I think Fade may even jump up ahead of him. So yeah. I think it's Morgan in a bit of trouble, but Rich has led for a few of these laps so far within this race. That speeding into the pits on that final pit stop for the Williams has absolutely hindered him, and sadly for him, I think he's going to end up he's definitely going to be losing that race win. But I've got to give the absolute kudos to the Red Bull of ERT Larkin. I mean, he started down in 8th position. In his pre-race interview questions, he was hoping for some wet weather. In the pre-race talk show, he was hoping for a bit of wet weather to shake things up. Cam picks up another 3-second time penalty, but Larkin, he is going to be inheriting this race win unless he somehow picks up a random penalty in the Parabolica. Rich is coming across the line though to take the win on track with that 10-second time penalty, but it's going to be Larkin who jumps up onto the top step of the podium to take the win this evening in the Temple of Speed. Solau will finish in 2nd position. Papa Squanch did take the final podium position, 1.8 seconds ahead of his teammate, and I believe that is Lawrence running out of fuel at the line. So Cam jumps up ahead of him and Joe jumps up ahead of the pair of them. Morgan ended up finishing 5th in the end, just about got the gap to Fade in the end. Rich finishing 4th, Morgan 5th, Fade in 6th, Mopi in 7th. Whip and Proverb in 8th. There's a bit of a battle going on, actually. The two,
Yeah, for
Mikey,
last
Catherine,
place.
and Mike. I think Catherine was doing everything she could to stop these two getting the fastest lap in the end, and I think she's managed it to perfection. Don't know if it was by accident or what, but Mikey finishes in 16th. Catherine jumps up ahead of and up into 16th she goes. Again, not a very definitely a race to forget for her, getting 2 sets of wing damage going down into turn number 1. But Larkin is going to be very, very happy with that result for this evening here, Jamie.
Yeah, went for the alternate strategy. Started on the hard tyres. Only first kind of top 10 to do that. And it worked absolute treat for him because he got that really good signalling from the first stint. And once these guys are scobbling on the fresh tyres, obviously not really getting the benefit of undercut, he was doing some great laps in old tyres. It just worked absolute treat for him. Obviously, got a bit lucky with some of the guys had getting penalties, but that's part of racing. You know, that's what you got to do. Yeah, Larkin, another win. Yeah, it's another win for Larkin, but first of this season, that's going to really kickstart his title charge, and he's going to close the gap a bit to Papa Squanch, who somehow gets a podium on an off day. If you get a podium off day, then that's what champions do.
Yeah, exactly. So Larkin from 8th on the grid up onto the top step on the podium. Solau finishes in second, sadly from that 3-second time penalty and that wing damage. He's managed to capitalise well on finishing in second with that. Papa Squanch in third, with Rich in fourth, Morgan in fifth, and Fade in sixth. Moby in seventh, with Watson Proverb in eighth, Joby in ninth, Cameron out of the top 10. Rich in 11th place, with Jeff picking up the final points for this evening. Lawrence in 13th, with West Benjamin in 14th, Waze in 15th, Catherine with the fastest lap outside the top 10 and the fastest lap in general, so she gets that extra point. Mikey in 17th, with Mike also battling alongside him in 18th, and then our two DNFs of Rydog and Vitinho. Sad to see for the pair of them. And just got to throw it over to you as well, Jamie. Who is your sim racing driver of the day? What would you like to ask him?
Well, I'm going to go for a guy who took a risk at the start, and it worked an absolute treat for him. I know you probably want to nominate him, but I'm going to get in there first. I'm going to go for Larkin, driver of the day. Just the strategy call was absolute perfection, and I'm going to say, well done, mate. Great win, great pace, good clean driving. What made you decide to start on hard tyres when everybody else around you started on mediums? It worked an absolute treat. Was that an intention, or did you make or was it, or did you not select those tyres? Because that was an absolute masterstroke strategy. Well done, mate.
Question for him, and I'm for my driver of the day. Probably gonna have to go. Oh, who do I go with? You know what? I'll go for it on his return back to 1 up. It was intense, but I'm going to go for Mr. Cam K himself. Started towards the back end of the grid. And of course, as they finish him with inside the top 10, within the points as well on his return. So it's a very good race for him. My question to him, that early pit stop that he made on the first lap, was that intentional? If not, was there going to be, did you have any thought of getting onto or getting yourself into the points for this evening? I think it was a cracking drive from him. So yeah, Cam, my driver of the day for this evening. If he didn't get himself any penalties, Rich would have been my driver of the day. Sadly,
Yeah,
it was
same.
that 10-second time penalty. It just absolutely ruined him for that. So sad times for him with that. And yeah, that's all she wrote for my number 4 around Monza. I am going to need to end the stream pretty quickly because we are the P1 tier is going to be starting in a couple of minutes' time, so I need to get myself in for that. Big shout out to all of the sponsors I say at the bottom of your screen for sponsoring the league. Obviously, big thank you to everybody that has watched for this evening and for all of the drivers for this evening as well. It was a very, very good race to spectate for sure. Any final thoughts on this evening, Jamie?
Yeah, good race, nice competitive race. Good to see. Some good battles. A few incidents which were a bit of Monza, but I think apart from that, it was quite a good race and just a great winner. It's a shame for Rich getting a speeding penalty, but yeah, I think Larkin proved if you keep keen on it, you can get a really good result. And obviously next week we go to another track, which is similar for quite low downforce in Spa. So we'll see you next week. What I'm going to put for Spa, I'm going to put there's going to be a lot of engine penalties or gearbox penalties next week. That's all I'm going to say about Spa next week.
Yeah, I won't be at all surprised if we start to see a lot more of the engine penalties and gearbox penalties for that next week. So, yeah, as Jamie said, make sure you guys are tuned into that next week at 6 p.m. for round number 5 around the Spa de Francorchamps. And make sure you guys are tuned in a couple of minutes' time for P1 tier by Jess and either Bryn, Mike as well. Thank you very much for tuning in tonight, and we'll catch you guys next week. And say for round number 5 around the circuit, Spa Francorchamps.